food prep and delivery, housing, primarily with Habitat and Humanity, and then in educational activities, mentoring and tutoring. We have we have 8 members on our outreach committee, and I'd like for them to stand up if they're here and be recognized. These are the people who are advocating for certain projects and helping out as volunteers. We also have about 30 additional parishioners who volunteer regularly at the projects that we do. Going forward, what we would like to think about is possibly helping more organizations, particularly those that are in a startup mode. Many of the organizations we work with have been in business for a while. They sort of hit their stride, and we've got to think about how do we work with additional organizations in the community. This was a very successful effort that we had that many of you participated in, which was helping out the food bank a few weeks ago. And really, I think we had about 30 people show up and help set a record for them in terms of the number of Backpack Pal packets we were able to get out. Okay, last slide. I'll go back again, sorry. So what we've done is reach out to organizations. One of the things to think about in the future is whether we invite organizations, and particularly new ones, in and do things here in the church. Again, a big successful one that you'll remember is the Rise Against Hunger. I think we had 150 volunteers come in and made a real impact. So I think as we look going forward, we need to think about other opportunities, not necessarily on that scale, but to do things here in the church. I'm now going to turn it over to Linda, who will present to you the questions we would like for you to, I'll get this in a minute, address to help us plan going forward.
You all can read. I won't read those for you. Basically, what we're asking you is, we know this county's growing. I mean, all we got to do is look around, right? And see all the many housing units that are going up all over. So are we doing the right things? That's what we want to know from you. Are we serving the right people? If not, who else do you think we can serve? Secondly, we want to know what it is that we can do to encourage more of you to be able to come and volunteer in these great services. As Brian talked about, the food bank was just great. Yeah, it was cold that day. My God, it was so cold. We were in a warehouse, but we kept moving and moving, and we packed a record number of backpacks for kids to take home for the weekend. It was very gratifying, and we're going to do that on a permanent basis, but you'll hear more about that at a later date. We want to know if there is a way that we can promote these activities more. How can we get the word out to you all and others who might come and help us? And lastly, how should we measure the effectiveness of these two wonderful organizations, both our volunteer effort and then again our effort at the thrift store? Thank you all for what I know is going to be feedback to us so that we can move forward with the Century Project. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I've never used one of these things. Look at that. All right. Most of you know me as the man behind the wooden curtain. I thought I will open up by just giving a brief overview. In the mid-1980s, Emmanuel decided to make a decision, and that was to make a commitment to music. And to make a commitment to music, you need a full-time music director, full-time organist choir master. And under Reverend Sam Walker's leadership, the church decided to do that. And so I would say that the most dramatic growth in history of, or within the history of our parish as far as music is concerned, is what has happened over the past 40-odd years. And these have been your primary musical leaders. Alan Reed was our first full-time organist choir master in 1986. He served for 10 years until Johnny Bradburn's appointment in 1996, and he served here for 14 years in this capacity. And then they hired a guy from the desert, and I've been here ever since. So what I think is important is just to be kind of thinking about what music has happened here, what our organizations have been kind of within that context, because prior to that it's been part-timers and all that sort of thing. So, oh, I have to do this, excuse me, I'm sorry. So there's your folks. So for our program, I want you to think about the fact that we have one musician. All right, we don't have any paid singers. We don't have an organist, accompanist, or anything like that. And so what you're seeing here is the fullness of what one man or woman can do. And that starts with our cherub choir. And our cherub choir starts with those age 4 and higher. And they meet every Wednesday and sing once a month. And what I want you to understand is what we do with those children who choose to participate, and that is that we are trying to make them, I am trying to make them leaders within the church, even at an early age. And so it isn't, hey, let's just throw some T-shirts on them and put them up front and have them sing a happy little song, and if they mess up, we'll laugh. No, it's not that at all. It is, we want them to understand what servanthood is. We want them to be recognized as equal leaders of the church as the adults. And I think that is God's kingdom. And so that's what we do. And they're a wonderful group of folks. There's always a lot of transition within this group because of the military influence that we have here. So people are here just for a couple of years and then leave. We have had more involvement with children of the Episcopal Day School in previous years, but we've had an unfortunate opportunity of not being able to recruit like we have in previous years for reasons I haven't been able to quite identify, but we've got a really dedicated and beautiful group of kids. After that, we go to the chorister choir, and the choristers is something that Alan Reed really started here and then kind of faded for a while and has now come back. These are the members of our parish who want to participate in the music program who are grade 3 and older. And they have the opportunity to sing every week. With the choir, you see my girls sing every week and others from time to time. Our biggest challenges are working through the youth that we have and the needs within the church. And so there's a lot of opportunities for our youth, but there are only so many youth to go around for acolytes and crucifers and choir members. And so I think we are doing the best that we can with our current numbers. They meet every Wednesday, and we are working to develop their musical skills, their understanding of the liturgy, their musical leadership. They have opportunities to go to Duke every summer, and we have worked to build up that program such that we have scholarships for them. The thrift shop did that for a number of years, and now the church is helping to underwrite those opportunities. They go to Duke, and they spend a week in musical retreat, if you will, working with youngsters from all over the Southeast to offer music that is just absolutely spectacular on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon in Duke Chapel, one of the great sacred spaces in this country. Finally, as far as the choral program is concerned, we have the Emmanuel Choir. You hear them every Sunday at 10 a.m. They are our primary musical leadership. They help lead. Their biggest job is to help lead the hymnody of the church, and to lead the service music of the church, and then the anthems and things like that they do help to highlight and to support the readings that we have from week to week and our liturgies. You can see they've been singing a lot of major works lately. And they sing often for memorial services here. That has become part of their ministry. Right now we're at about 25 members. We're down 10 members from last year, not because they dislike me, but for a whole host of reasons. So anybody that is looking for a ministry, the choir is a wonderful place to land, so come see me. It's an all-volunteer group at this point. So what I did is Jim and I put together a list of questions and gave them to the choir and gave them to the handbell ringers and said, you know, what do you think are the strengths of our programming? What do you identify as weaknesses of our programming? Be it what we offer, be it the space, and why do you participate? Why do you do these things? And here's just a few little things. Music is vital to worship. It gives me a way to contribute. It's a joy to participate. It lifts my spirit, soothes my soul. The best way to engage my mind and body in the spiritual experience of the liturgy. I love music. They have a musical talent. But I love this. I talked about this in my e-manual this week. This came from Randy Fry. I want to contribute to Emmanuel with my prayers, presence, gift, and service. And I thought that was really important. Those 4 things. It's easy to do 1 or 2. I'm just equally as guilty, so I'm not shaming anybody. And then as far as the music program itself, you know, they like me. That's all nice. But they like how the music is thoughtfully selected to support the readings in the scriptures of the day. You know, we're on this 3-year lectionary, and so you're working to support what is going on not only in our readings, but from the pulpit. And so that's the big thing. They like the quality of the program. They love the organ and the grand pianos and the harpsichord, all of those sorts of things. We're very blessed with instruments, something that has been a part of the musical growth here the past 15 years. I will say without question, that was not the case when I walked in the door. Every piano here has been replaced. There was no piano in the church at all, and we have this spectacular organ. And so those are the things that we have now as tools for ministry. Okay, so challenges and dreams. I want to just preface this very quickly and say this. When we built the choir loft that is there, we did what we could within the context of what we were allowed to do. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that we were not allowed to leave the building envelope without triggering a whole host of other things that would have absolutely radically changed the church and these facilities down here. So that being the case, what the choir would love to see, if money was no issue, if they want to put their dreams on the table, are the following. They'd love a new or enlarged choir room. We simply don't have enough space in the choir room. It wasn't designed for a choir the size of the church choir is now. That's a simple fact, right? They want space for their choir music, space for being able to take their robes on and off. I love this line that somebody said, the bathroom stall just doesn't cut it, all right? And you know, you're right. And so like 2 weeks ago, I got this bug in my ear. I was like, you know what? We are going to rehearse in the choir room every week, all through Lent. It's going to be part of our discipline. And we did it for 1 week, and we couldn't do it. It was impossible. There was too many people. We were on top of each other, and I said, all right, I give up. Okay. There's a strong desire for a redesigned new choir loft. I think I'm going to put this on the table and say, this is something that I think is attached to if we ever build another church. Because I don't think within our church building we can probably ever do this to accommodate the size of the choir that we have. But the biggest problem is accessibility, right? We have these stairs to go up into the choir loft. It's terrible. Yesterday, I was working with a bride and a groom after a 2-hour Saturday morning choir rehearsal. She picked out all of her music for her wedding, and she was just on cloud 9, and as she starts to leave the choir loft, she fell down the stairs. She was a little bruised up, but she was okay. But she fell down the stairs. That's a real problem. She's 25. She is not 75. All right, better engagement with worship lines, right? And I didn't make that story up. All right, we can't see behind the big wooden screen. We can't see what's going on. For 10 years, I'm going to give you a personal story. I felt totally disconnected from the church. Totally disconnected. I could sit back there and just play solitaire while I'm waiting for the next thing to happen. All right, it's a weird physical barrier that we put up. Now, did we make bad choices? I say no. We made the choices we had to make, knowing what we were trying to do in the time, right? So I'm not blaming anybody. I was there making those decisions. All right. And then there's a strong desire for a choral scholar program here to support our choir. And I've been kind of reluctant to go that direction for a number of years for pride. A lot of it's pride, thinking I want an all-volunteer choir, and I've done this with these volunteers, right? But somebody said something to me that made a whole lot of sense. It's a choir member who said, you know what, we had choral scholars in my last place, and what it does is not only does it support what we can do individually as amateurs, right, but also helps take the pressure and the stress and the burden from week to week to week to week off of us so that we can worship better. I said, And then a strong desire for a music assistant associate. The program is where it is with one person. All right, so this is a potential model for a choir room. I decided, I love to go around to the other churches here in town and go, what do y'all have over here, And so my good friends over at Brownson, this is their choir room, all right? They have seating for 60, lots of music storage. This is just one part of it, all right? Here's the rest. There's lots of room for storage. They have their own bathrooms for their choir members down there. They have their own vesting area for men, their own vesting area for women. It's just over there, all right? Maybe we could adjust our service schedule, so we could rehearse over there and then come in. I don't know. Hey, we could get creative, right? Another idea, so like if we were ever to really, really be bold, if we wanted to really be bold, why not, right? This is the kind of choir loft we'd love to see that is the Episcopal Anglican tradition. We can do it in our space right now, unless you want a choir of 8, which we could have 8 paid singers, but I don't think that's a good idea, all right? And you can see the divided chancel area. You could see it's all more or less on one level, no stairs. That takes a lot of boldness in action. But I want you to see it. I want you to see what our traditions point to. And then we have the red door ringers. I love the red door ringers. They're so much fun. All right, as you can see right there. They started here in this church in 1984 under the direction of Sam Walker. We just ordered a few more handbells due to some generous gifts in December. And I'm absolutely thrilled about that. This is a group that rings once a month in at our 10 a.m. Eucharist. They ring from the rear gallery. And it's not an ideal space. We're up there in the rafters. It's easy to hit your head. It's dark. It's hot in the summertime because there's no insulation in the ceiling. But that's how it is. All right. But so here's what they have to say. They love to ring handbells. They love to be with people. They want to be involved. Some of them rang as family members together before they went off to college. They love making music. It's that fellowship thing, right? Strengths, well, they like me again, yada, yada, yada. They like the enthusiasm, the camaraderie. They love to go to the handbell retreats. And it's a way for them to be involved in a community here. And it's not just this community, not just the community that we have that gather around the table, but in a small group, right? All right. And then so, again, similar, it's the same thing that we run into with all the other ensembles. The only thing I didn't say, on behalf of the chair of choir, they would love a playground to play on after choir rehearsal. It got taken away. I'm going to put that out there. And so they would, again, like more space. The rear gallery is tight, and they would like to have a space where they could rehearse, where they could come and ring during the week and work on their pieces. And right now we don't have all that because we have to take everything down to accommodate the services that go on during the week. We have 280 people who come to EDS Chapel on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they need every seat, right? 280. Our fire code number is 264. We break the law twice a week. All right? That's not a lie. That's not a lie. Right up here, this is their handbell room of the Brownson Memorial Presbyterian Church. This is their handbell room. Look at that. I know. Anyway, all right. So, and then finally, the other piece of the musical outreach program is what we have created with musical programs that are for our community. And when I was first getting into ministry, I was sitting at an evening glass of wine with Rebecca McLean, and she was the dean of Trinity Cathedral in Phoenix, Arizona. And she talked about the mission of the cathedral and how they open the doors and they let every group in the community that wants to use their space use their space. All right. It's a quiet evangelism. It's about letting them know that we exist. It's about letting them know that there is a God. There is a Jesus who loves us, who has saved us all, right? Without having to come into Frank's face and say, have y'all been saved? No. You can have that conversation, but it's about hospitality and invitation, and that's what the musical box lunch concerts are all about, is inviting the community in, all right? We don't put up walls to stay here and look forward and be the frozen chosen. We have to open our doors, right? The school is all about that as well, in my opinion. It's all about inviting the community into this one. And so we do about 8 to 10 concerts a year. Most of that is funded through the collections that we take in through the box lunch programming. It's an opportunity for us to support young people through their debut recitals. We're going to have a young string group as part of the Carolina Philharmonic come next year. We've had bluegrass people who do different musical opportunities that way. We've had in the last couple of years kind of these larger choral works. So on April 4th, we're having the St. Mark Passion so that we can tell the story of God's redeeming love through music, right? That's what we're doing. Okay. So, and then finally, these are the questions that are on your table. I know we can't do everything here. I know we can't offer every kind of musical satisfy everybody's musical taste. But as I was in between worship in this thing, I was talking with a mentor of mine, and he said the following to me. He said, you know what? I hope that as people are going through the Century Project and thinking about what they have to celebrate, that they'll think about the identities, the ministries that are the identity of this church. How do we strengthen the ministries that are the identity of this church, that we have made our identity? The Episcopal Day School, that is part of our identity. Strong classical music is part of our identity, right? Weekly Eucharist is part of our identity. The Emmanuel Thrift Shop and our outreach programs, all the programs we have birthed here. Hospice House used to be right over there, or the hospice used to be right there, that have come out of here. That is our identity. So I don't think we need to dilute it, but how can we strengthen it? So these are the questions. For music, what's the importance of music in your worship in relationship to God? What do you identify as the strengths? Say what you want. In what ways could Emmanuel's music ministry further its mission to draw people into community and deepen our understanding of God? Thank you.